total fangirl. And I went up to you and I said, sir, what are you optimistic about? And I was surprised at your answer.
You know, I've been very fortunate in my career in that it encompasses travel. And I've been traveling in this country, every state, multiple times, all 50 states, all over Canada, every province in Canada. And what I'm really knocked out about is the kindness and the willingness to help of the American people in any situation. And you can see it displayed every time there's a flood or an earthquake or a fire, of which we've had all the things at the same time in LA this last year. And you can see people coming out of their houses or rowing down flooded streets in their little inflatable crafts to rescue people on the tops of houses and that couldn't get out any other way. And it's displayed time after time after time after time in every single state I go to. And so I'm confident that will continue on into the future. Even in times of turmoil that we are in now, the heart and soul and the kindness of the American people shines through.
And you even said you see it in young people.
Young people especially, and at an increasingly rapid pace because of the internet. You know, the internet is the most important invention ever in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned, because it allows you access to any part of the world immediately. I can turn on the internet and be walking down the street in Mumbai or Caracas or Antarctica, you know, and that's like, what does that do to connect us? It does everything to connect us, you know. So
now, what about the social media part? Because you said you're not as into that as much.
It's a byproduct. You know, the social media part is, I don't know, like fan mail, I guess. You know, some people like you, some people hate you, say, oh, keep doing it, or the other people say, die. You know, so it is a tool. It's like being an artist. Your tool may be a paintbrush, your tool may be a chisel, your tool may be an airbrush, but it's how you use that tool that's most important.
Now, when you described yourself, you said comedian, artist, musician, all of these things. Now, how are they blended together, or were there stages that you concentrated on one or the other?
I try to blend them as much as possible, you know, because you can get paid twice for the same thing. I've been a musician all my life. So I made my first record when I was 5 years old. Now, it was, my mother had this friend who had a little home recording device and used to make records to sell in the neighborhood, Spanish records. And I was a little kid, I was 5 years old, that could sing in tune. And so I was a creaky, but in tune. And so I used to make records for him, and they were distributed in the neighborhood.
What was the subject matter of your songs at 5?
Always love.
Oh, well, all righty. You were ready to roll.
I was the Barry White of the kindergarten set, you know. It's always love song, but it was more important for me to sing in tune. And you could see the reaction to people when you sang. Oh, hey, they like this. Even better when they laughed. That was the best, when people laughed. So, oh, there's something here.
So when did you start realizing that the comedy part was going to be something too?
Well, I came from a very funny family and very intelligent. We were working class, blue collar Chicano kids. My father was a policeman. I love that part. All right, here's your punishment. You get this kid. He was a LAPD 40 years, and my other uncle Rudy was the highest ranking Chicano in the force. He was a captain of Hollenbeck. He was on the state parole board. Charles Manson came up in front of him 3 times, and that was an interesting conversation. And so, you know, I was. But funny was, I came from a very intelligent group of cousins who banded together, led by the lead cousin, Louis, who was extremely intelligent. He got a scholarship to every school he ever went to, starting with grade school. grade school, high school, state scholar in California, joined the Air Force, got a scholarship to the University of Tokyo. And so he was the instigator of our group of cousins, and he would assign us topics when we were like, I don't know, 10, 11, to learn about all this, whatever there was, that topic was, and then bring it back to the group and make a presentation. And so my cousin Lolly, his sister, was assigned, I think, architecture, for real. And she became a nun and the head of her order. My other cousin Regine was assigned Middle Ages, and he became the first doctor of what was it? Earned the first doctorate in Chicano studies from Harvard. You know, so it's like I was a little puppy trying to catch up, you know, and I was assigned art. And that's where my art education started. So how do you study art? I mean, how do you do? I went to the library.
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles.
It's a good library.
It's a wonderful library, and I took out every art book that they would let me take out. And I would turn the pages, and I would not necessarily read all the text.
No, it's art.
But I look at the pictures, you know, and that's Picasso, and that's Miro, and that's Cézanne, and that's, so my education in Western art happened at the LA County Library.
Wow. And then so the music, the comedy, now still trying to get to the comedy.
Oh, the comedy part. I had a funny family. They were fast, and if you wanted any time at the dinner table, you had to have a tight 3 minutes, man. You know, because you weren't going to get to say shit. You know,
So, did you have a specialty, or you just played it, you know, whatever the topic was at the time? Or?
We all went to Catholic school. So that informed our education. So there was a lot of topics, you know, about lives of the saints or famous martyrs, or, you know, that's how kind of I got the inclination to study art, because I was raised in the church, and I'd go to mass, and there was no more bigger torture than having to sit through a mass when you're, you know, 7 years old. When is this going to end? And I'd be looking up, oh, there's pictures up here. Oh, that's cool. Then a bunch of guys in sheets wandering around in the clouds, and why are they barbecuing that guy in the corner? So right away I was intrigued, you know. And so that was because there was some eroticism or some kind of danger in art. I go, well, this is cool. It's not all piety. And so I was always funny, and everybody in my family was very funny, very quick.
And so when you think about what you're optimistic about and the kindness, did you experience any kindness or see it firsthand when you were growing up?
Yeah, it's my family was we had a very large but very tight family, and we were kind of this little island. I grew up in South Central LA, and when I lived there, it was 98% African American. And with a few sprinkling of Chicanos and a couple other people. And then when I was 10, we moved to Granada Hills in the northwest San Fernando Valley. So one day everybody was black, and the next day everybody was white.
Wow.
And so it was like, how do I fit in here? You know, so I was like, the discussion, you know, you had to be very quick, because I was always little. I was always the littlest guy. And in some cases, you had to learn how to get the first punch in, and the other cases, you had to learn how to be funny in order to get out of and make them your friends. And I made more friends with jokes than fists.
And that's where you saw and kindness. You saw.
Well, the kindness was when I made friends. They were friends. It didn't matter what color or what you know. They were my friends, and they would stand up for me. And so you saw that, and you would be invited into their homes, and it smelled different. The food smelled different. You know, the people. It was different kinds of rice and beans cooking. You know, oh, this is interesting, but it's the same. You know, so I felt already at that same time that like there's something that binds us. You know, and you tend to look at the content of character in that situation,
and not the color of the skin.
Pardon?
And not the color of the skin.
And not the color. You didn't see a color after a while, because they would look at me because I was a different color, and they like, oh, you know, okay, you know. And it's how you helped them and how they helped you.
Was humor involved with some of those visits when you were going to different houses and meeting different people?
Yeah.
Were you able to connect through humor?
Through humor?
Humor.
Oh, that's where humor begins.
Ah,
People were funny and fast, and you saw a different sort of life, a different angle to view things at.
I wish I could have been in one of
Oh.
those houses.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.